Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, I have a really fun time with Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and you guys would have Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and you guys must have realized lately I've been doing a lot of Hall effect switches. I've gotten so many that came in lately. Like a lot of brands have been reaching out, being like, hey, please try this, please try that. So I've been getting a ton. Today, we have to thank Gateron. Oh, I dropped my little thing. Sorry. They sent me out their newest Jade Ultra and the dual lighting Jades. Now, they also sent me the Deltas. So this is why I'm doing kind of separate videos on this. I want to do the focus on the Jade Ultra, but also try out the Jade dual lighting. So we're going to try both in this video because they're both Jades. So they're going to be kind of similar. Overall, I'm thinking the Jade Ultras are going to be a much bigger improvement, especially the design change with the stems and everything. And then this one's kind of just pretty much the Jade Pros, but with the dual lighting. So we're just going to check these out, do a small sound test on them, but the focus will be the Jade Ultras. So let's go right into it, take a look at the information, and of course, then go into the sound test. But please make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, come check out the Discord channel because it would be cool to have you guys join the community. So starting off with taking a look at the two switches that we're going to be doing. Now, one of them is going to be the Jade Ultra, one is going to be the Jade Pro SMD, so it's just going to be the dual SMD one, and that means it's dual lighting. So if I show you guys a close-up with both switches, you'll kind of see what I mean. So that's why I'm not giving you guys like the original Jade Pro comparison, just because it actually does sound and feel the same as the regular Jades. It just has the dual lighting from like my experience with the switches. Now the Ultras though are going to be a change, so we're going to have to really go into that. Now I'm not sure why, but Gateron doesn't really provide more information in terms of like what the materials are, so I wasn't able to go into it, and that's why I can't fully give you guys like the full comparison from the Jade Pros and the SMD version. Now the Jade Ultras also doesn't provide more information, but we're going to have to go in and really do a sound test to check out how these are. Now this is the Jade Ultras, and this is the Jade dual lighting. So I don't know if you guys can really see it from the camera right there. So if I get it a little bit closer, you should be able to see how this one has the dual lighting on it, and this one's the Jade Ultra with the now circular stem. What are my thoughts? I think the Jade Ultras is a nice improvement. It feels a lot smoother. It actually sounds a little bit better too, for me personally. And I think overall design-wise, you're going to get a lot less stem mobile, and it feels like it too, compared to the Jade Pros. Now the Jade Pros had a little bit more of like a actuation bump feel to it before the switch went down. The Jade Ultras have less of that, and overall just feels so much better to type on. I'm curious how it's going to be in terms of like compared to the Jade Deltas. So really curious of that, of course. We'll do a video of that next time. But overall, I think the Jade Ultras have been really cool. I really like them in terms of the sound wise. It's still going to be more of like your so-called mahjong type of sound. So a little bit more on like the poppier side. Let's take it apart, compare these two, of course, and do a backlighting test and more, and then see what I think of them. So let's go right into that. So let's take a look at both switches and just take a look at the travel distance in both of them. So first, let's try the Jade Pros, which is going to be from 15 millimeters, and then we go all the way down, and it's going to be 11.5. So it stays the same, 3.5 millimeters, which really shows that it is going to be just the Jade Pro, but with the dual lighting. And it seems like a lot more brands are going with the dual lighting option. It is going to be a bit easier in terms of like putting the switches in, and it does provide like really bright lighting. But the Ultras have reduced distance, so they've reduced it even more from the 3.5. Now it's going to be a 15.1, 15 millimeters, and then it's going to go all the way down to a total of 11.8. That's 3.2 millimeters of travel. So that's very little travel distance for the Switch. I'm kind of curious why they went that route, and it possibly could be the fact that they changed up how these switches work. And I'm thinking it could be a way that they're trying to reduce that whole top out sound that people are not liking, which I'll go over a little bit later. Now, as you can see here, it has the two light diffusers that go through, same as the UR Ice Extremes. And in terms of the stem, it's the exact same as the Jade Pro stems. So it's the same, has a little nick on the back so that you're facing it forward. So that's something to note for this one. So you can't be like either way. The stem has to be a specific way, and the stock looping is pretty decent. I would say in general, I feel like the Jade series and Gateron, the stock loopings are pretty decent, and you don't really have to hand lube them except for the springs. So the springs are the only things that I feel like are not always the greatest with the Gateron series switches, and they provide a scratch that I'm not a big fan of. So that's something to keep in mind of. I did feel like there was some scratchiness to the Jades, and even the Jade Pros, like way back too. I did feel that there was some scratchiness to be mindful of, and you should really like oil up the springs. Now it's 20 millimeters, same as the Jade Pros in terms of the spring, and it is a single stage, so not dual stage. I've only seen dual stage now with the Ice Extremes from UR, which actually felt really, really great to type on. Now we're gonna have to look at the Ultras, and the Ultras is going to be the interesting one. So if you look at the bottom of the Ultras, the magnet is now changed quite heavily, and the stems are changed. This is something that Gateron's been doing, like with the spark switches. It's something that's very new, and the magnet moves around a lot, which I think this is the cause of the specific scratchy feel I get with the Ultras. They have this specific thing where sometimes when you're pressing down, you get a weird shaking of like the stem, it maybe, where it scratches and it doesn't feel the greatest because of it. It's not all the time, but it can happen, which I think it's the movement of the magnet that's causing it. Now overall, do I think that the stock looping is good on these? Yes, the stock looping, I feel they've done a great job, and it is quite heavily lubed, I would say. The springs themselves, you should kind of oil up. You don't have to with these ones. I feel like the specific scratchiness that I received from them was due to the movement of the magnets on the bottom contacting the springs while they're going down. Now the spring length has been reduced on these ones, and it's only 19 millimeters at a single stage. So this is something that I was kind of surprised in general. The fact that the travel distance was reduced and the spring length was also reduced. interesting what they're trying to do. I feel like Gateron switches have gotten a lot better though. Even the Spark series I liked actually a lot, and it sounded really nice. But overall, I'm thinking in terms of like gaming performance and things like that, maybe you want that full travel distance, especially if you're looking at like using, you know, your rapid trigger and setting the accuracies. I think that's something to keep in mind. As you can see right there, even when I was showing you with how the magnet moves, it really does look like it can touch the spring while going down, which is causing that little awkward scratch feel, but not full scratch. And, you know, giving you guys a little close up to hear the switches without anything. I mean, overall, both of them sound pretty nice, but the Jade Pros definitely sound a little bit more muted. And you should be able to hear right there too, the scratchiness, right? Like that scratch that came out from the switches. And thank goodness I changed my mic out, because I recently upgraded my mic and it's able to catch a lot of these like details, which is awesome. But overall, I feel like the Jade Ultras feel just nicer. The Jade Pros have a little bit of like that actuation bump, and you'll feel that when you're trying to press down, while the Jade Pros is a little bit more smooth and light, and overall feels just a lot smoother to type on and feels better to type on compared to the Pros. But overall, surprisingly enough, the top out sounds has been reduced quite a lot on these, and specifically the Ultras, right? Like the Ultras top out sound has heavily improved compared to many previous magnetic switches, which is one thing I was kind of interested in about this, because they changed this whole switch layout, right? So it might be the reason why. And one thing interesting as well is the Jade Pros with the SMD, like the dual SMD, is actually a lot less stem wobble compared to the previous Jade Pros. Like these things have no wobble at all. And I know the Jade Pros had slight movement in the stems, so this is an improvement compared to the original Jades, where these ones have like no movement. And the Ultras, of course, with the way that the stem is, you know, it's a circular stem, you're pretty much looking at like no movement or no stem wobble at all. So this is big improvements, right? The D actually is going to be the Jade Pro SMD, which you can see like with the keycaps on them, and then the K is going to be the Ultras, which has a little bit more movement compared to the Jade Pros, but very little stem wobble in general for both. Now going into the backlighting test, so you'll be able to see that very bright, but the Pros are brighter than the Ultras, and I think the Ultras technically don't have a light diffuser in them, which might be the reason why, and the Pros do, so that's causing the light to be really bright. You saw there where I brought it to tachyon mode, so 70% lighting, and then going to 10% lighting here, so you see a little bit light but very minimal. Then we're going to go up to 50%, so this is where the 50% mark would be, and then we go back to the tachyon 70% again, and it gets a lot brighter, and then you go to the 100% and it's incredibly bright. And with the Wooting 60v2, you'll see like lightings are much brighter than the previous were, and it's more white. And these switches, even though the camera's catching it like a blue, in person they're actually a little bit more accurate to white than before. So the Jade Pro series usually did make the lighting a bit greener. This one, the Jade Pro SMD, is actually very white, and the Ultras, interestingly enough, keeps it quite white. Overall, I would say the Ultras are an upgrade, but for those that might hate the kind of scratch that you can possibly get, you would have heard it while I was doing like the testings. There is a bit of scratchiness, so keep in mind for that. I will have the links in the description for you guys to check out, but I'm also going to come back to you guys with the new Delta switches with Gateron, so that's going to be interesting to see. Now overall, I do hope this video helps you guys to see whether or not the Jade Ultras or the Jade Dual lighting is going to be something that you're interested in. You know, I've been trying to really improve a lot of my Hall Effect Switch reviews and like the videos. Possibly I could do what I do with my Switch reviews for the Hall Effects as well, in terms of like seeing what the tone is like and kind of measuring that. I'll look into it. You know, leave in the comments if that's something you guys would love to see in my videos. I can definitely kind of expand this out to also Hall Effect switches, especially because I do so many and I keep expanding it over time. I'll have to catch you guys next time. Please go check out the other videos I got. I'll have the links in the description for you guys to check out the switches, and I'll catch you guys next time.